There was and I was talking about ethanol. If you recall, a couple of videos before, I spoke about ethanol. Everybody criticized the Indian government for bringing ethanol. Now, with the introduction of ethanol, there is availability of what you call fuel in the market. Why do I say that? Because the refineries have introduced ethanol and they have reduced the supply, the requirement of crude for India to refine. In spite of the fact there is a growing population of cars and scooters and other kind of vehicles, using fuel, of this type, we are able to manage. I think it is because of ethanol. Not only that, no, now people are saying, that last week, that 2 days ago, I read in an article which said, I think we should introduce more ethanol into India. Hey, come on, man, you can't keep on jumping from one end to another. Stick to one goal. If you're anti-ethanol, stick to it if it is possibility. That is why we are weak in our thinking. I said specialized activities which we should think about. This is a newer concept. Let us accept it because it's beneficial to India. Just because my scooter gets affected, that should not be ethanol. That is not correct. We must look at the whole global concept of India per se. Using ethanol is now reduced the requirement of crude oil. And now we are going the green way. What is the green way? Yesterday, in the Economic Times, US is fighting against India with saying that they are going to look at specialized tariffs on India because India is surplusing on green energy. Mainly in regard to the, solar panels. Surprising, because the Indian government introduced a concept that you use solar panels to reduce the regular consumption of electricity in your house by putting up a solar panel above your house, and the government will give you a subsidy for that. What a concept, what a new, wonderful concept. Because of this, there are now houses which are not using government electricity. They are generating that solar electricity and supplying that electricity to the grid and getting their bills reduced, electricity bills reduced, because they are using this solar panel. In the olden days, they would have said, no, why have solar panels? You'll destroy the environment. How can we dispose of it? Who's going to maintain it? It's not going to be cost effective. We cannot manufacture. We have billions of houses. How can we put up solar panels? Well, that is what I'm saying. Again, we are thinking narrowly. The government implemented it, and it is happening today that solar panels are being invested in, and people are harnessing the energy of the sun to run their buildings, to run their houses, and saving electricity consumption and availability of electricity for everybody rather than one single family or a group of families. I know in one case a club has saved nearly 25 lakhs in a year by installing solar capacity. Can you imagine 25 lakhs from a consumption of nearly 60 lakhs per year? They have reduced it by nearly 25 lakhs. Can you imagine the amount of savings the members have achieved? That because of the non-flow of cash outside, because of the restricted use of outside electricity, they are giving that money back to the members. So just imagine, there are so many things that are happening because of this new extensive thinking of the solar panels. The same thing with electronic vehicles. Everybody is criticized the electronic vehicles. We have the intellectuals. As usual, we have a lot of intellectuals in India who can sit back in their air-conditioned offices and in their air-conditioned rooms, have a whiskey or a beer and talk about everything under the sun. Everything they can talk about. And we have one group which will always criticize any activity which is going to improve the benefits which are accruing to the nation. That is what I will give an example with regard to that. Everybody started criticizing the electronic industry, EV vehicles, I would say. Oh, EV vehicles are a waste, because who is after the EV vehicles, as soon as the life of that particular battery is over, who is going to dispose of it? How are you going to dispose of it? We are going to have landfills filled with these, batteries, and everything going to get affected. Well, there will be solutions for that. India is known as the Jugaad, the world knows the eastern part of the world is a Jugaad world. And especially in India, even old lead-lined batteries are being reused, they are dismantled and they are reused all the parts are reused for so many other activities. Maybe we require more controls of pollution. That is all. That is being happening, and today we don't have any complaints of lead poisoning and other things happening out of these dismantled batteries. India has got the largest ship-breaking industry in the world, in Alang, in Gujarat. Old ships are brought and they are dismantled. And they contain a lot of equipment which can be reused, refurbished, repaired and reused. There are a lot of things which can happen. Each one of those items are reused, recycled. And we keep on saying that it's going to cause pollution, it's going to cause environmental damage. But there will be developments. There will be scientific developments. There will be there will be processes by which you will be able to use these batteries or exhausted back again. There will be new technologies rising. For example, originally there was only uranium for setting up a nuclear plant. Today have thorium, which is less polluting, which is less dangerous for the person, for the people. So you can imagine the new technologies which will be that, because the human mind can think differently. It can think and operate differently. So all these, why do I speak about electronic vehicles, solar panels, ethanol, recycling? Why did I talk about all that? These are the things which are keeping India safe today. Today there's a Jugaad equipment available in a place known as Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, where due to the using a little bit of firewood and using a kind of airflow, they are able to control. And what you are using with 5 days worth of 1 day of gas, that same thing is able to produce for 3 days. No gas. It is wood, old wood, no new wood. And the quantity of wood is very much less. So everywhere there's new thinking which is happening to overcome so many difficulties. And therefore, all these new technologies play a great part for India. And today we are surviving in spite of the Hormuz problem, in spite of the sanctions, in spite of the price rise, in spite of so many things on India. We are able to survive. How? Because of these new concepts like EV, ethanol, and so many other things, that we are able to run our country without collapse. Everybody is wondering how long the EU is going to continue without collapsing. American economists are running, helter-skelter, wondering whether the economy will collapse because of that debt. India is able to manage. It's the fastest growing economy today. It is still growing. In spite of these problems, it is still growing. There will be difficulties. We don't deny it. But all these are playing a major part in keeping, all this scaremongering should be thrown out. There's a lot of things available. There is a backup. There is a, we have enough fuel. Otherwise, planes would have stopped, cars would have stopped. Everything would have run, everything would have been helter, people gone crazy. But people have still not rioting. They are still not on the streets. They are still not running around the streets, burning, houses just to, for the, creating havoc, creating a crisis. They are waiting for cylinders to be delivered. And it is happening. People are getting cylinders, but slightly instead of 21 days, they're getting in 30 days. But the cylinder, we have to understand how we use the cylinder also. And today, hotels are stopped issuing, preparing of items like, omelets and dosas, because the gas is to be kept on firing. Instead of that, they said, what can be kept heated, we'll produce in mass scale so that we save on gas. So there is no shortage of gas, there is no shortage of fuel. Otherwise, buses will not run, flights will not go, trains will not run on diesel. Nothing, everything would have come to a full stop if India had been such a crisis-ridden country today. So we are not, we are safe, and it is a possibility that we'll come out of it slightly scathed, but not hurt. Thank you.